So if you're a renter, I want to talk to you today. There's some good news and some not so great news that I want to share with you. So if you want to learn more, stay tuned. We're getting started right now. Hey, welcome back, y'all. I'm Debbie Dobbins, your host for this episode of Your Wichita Falls. And if you spend any time on this channel, you know I love Wichita Falls, and I'm also a real estate entrepreneur. If you don't spend any time on this channel and this is the first video, then please, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. We upload videos Mondays and Thursdays every week, and ring that bell because you'll get notified when a new video comes up. So let's get started. If you're a renter, you are probably facing a very important decision every single year. What could that be? Oh, renew your current lease, start a new one, or buy a house. And you know what? This year is no different. But before you dive too deeply into your options, it helps to understand the true costs of renting moving forward. And really dive deep into what that means for you. Because in the past year, both current renters and new renters have seen their rents go up sky high. Literally. And based on information from realtor.com, 3 out of 4 renters, that's 75% who have moved in the past 12 months, reported seeing their rent increase. Well, okay, that doesn't even cover it. Rent increase is one thing. Rent skyrocketing is something completely different. And if you know anything about me, you know that I watch the economic reports like a hawk. And the CPI, with the Consumer Price Index, one of the biggest increases on there is shelter, and that's due to rent increases. Oh my goodness. And if your landlord hasn't increased your rent, it's either they're asleep at the wheel or they're about to. This strain from recent rent hikes isn't exclusive to renters who have recently moved. So nearly 2/3 of renters, that's still almost 65% of people who have lived in their current rentals between 12 and 24 months and renewed their leases, have also reported increases in their rent. And I'm telling you, I've seen it even here in our little tiny Wichita Falls. The rent increases just from the time that I've lived here in 4 years has been dramatic. Over 50%, sometimes 75%. It's nutty. And if you look back at historical data, that shouldn't come as any surprise. Why, you say? Well, that's because, according to the census, rents have been rising fairly consistently since 1988. Well, okay, the cost of housing has been increasing since 1988. So, of course, rents go up. And there's a graph right below that you can look at and see how rents have increased. But if you're considering renting as an option in 2023, it certainly is worth weighing whether this trend is likely to continue. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is. And what's happening is that investors, sorry, I'm an investor. One of the reasons that rents are going up so much is that investors who are owning your rental property, that are buying new rental properties, had to pay a very high price in the last couple of years. And so what they do is they pass that on to you. And then landlords that own their properties that see the value have jumped on that bandwagon as well. But in their cases, also property taxes and insurance have gone up. So all of that gets passed on to you as a tenant. So for you to think that none of this market, this real estate market and craziness doesn't affect you as a renter, please think again. Because it's just like anything else. If it's gas prices going up and truckers have to pay more in gas and airlines have to pay more in gas, who are they passing that cost on to? You as the consumer. So this trend is really going to continue. And the 2023 housing forecast from our lovely realtor.com expects rents will keep climbing. So you can see the graph right now that is coming up on the screen. They're going to continue to increase. So one of the ways, and I've shared this on some other videos, to mitigate that is by buying your home so you have a fixed rate at least, and basically then the only variables in your housing expense will be your taxes and insurance. And if you get a homestead in Texas, then you very much mitigate that. But the forecast that the rents are going to go up. This forecast, it projects rents will increase by another 6 to 7% in the year ahead, which may not seem like a lot going forward. However, you add it on to the almost 20 to 50% that it's increased in the last several years, and you can see it in green. That is absolutely astronomical because wages are not keeping up with your ability to pay rent. So when you compare it to the blue bars on that graph, it's clear that the 2023 projection doesn't call for an increase as drastic as the ones renters have seen over the past 2 years. That's true. However, what that means also is that investors that are buying the property are still paying the higher prices. So a house that may have rented for, I don't know, $1,000 a month last year, an investor buys it, they put a little money into it, the taxes are higher for them, they're gonna rent it out for $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. That's quite a bit that's going on for you as the renter to be able to find affordable housing. So even if we're only going up that 6 or 7%, it's still above the historical average that rent hikes between 2013 and 2019, which is when we sort of look at as a normal market. So if you've not yet renewed your lease, you may pay more when you do. Just saying. Because it is very, very likely that you're going to get a rent increase on this next go around when you renew your lease than it is that you're going to get to pay the same amount of rent. And probably a substantial amount if your landlord hasn't already raised your rent. But you know what? Home ownership provides that alternative to rising rents. I just said it a minute ago, and that's so true. These rising costs may make you reconsider what other alternatives you have. If you're looking for more stability, it could be time for you to begin to prioritize home ownership. Because even if you thought you never could buy a house, I'm here to tell you that home ownership is in everybody's reach and grasp. There are so many different programs. We have so many to help first-time home buyers get assistance with their down payment, with their closing costs, 2-1 buy down so that you don't have to pay these astronomical interest rates. It's so important to begin to look at home ownership as an equity building process for you, and that's an investment in real estate as well. And even become a real estate investor as you move through this process. One of the many benefits of owning your own home is it provides that stable monthly cost that you can lock in for the duration of your loan. And yes, it is a fixed rate that you're talking about when you buy a house. There are other adjustables, but when you have a fixed rate, interest rate, it fixes in your principal and interest. And I'm never going to delude anybody to say that your taxes and insurance can vary going forward. And we saw that in the last 2 years with the taxes going up, the property taxes. But the fact is that it is a much better opportunity for you to have affordability and stay with a fixed payment amount. Freddie Mac says, monthly rent payments may increase over time, but a fixed rate mortgage will ensure that you're paying the same amount each month, principal and interest, with a fixed rate mortgage. Your interest rate is locked in for the life of the loan. So isn't that cool that you only have to worry about your taxes and your insurance, and you can mitigate those? As I said, there's all kinds of ways if they raise your taxes to protest them and a lot of other things that I talk on tax videos. But steady payments, which is fantastic because locking that in for now is going to sustain you going forward. Even if wages don't keep up with rent, your wages are more than likely going to keep up with the cost of living because of increased property taxes. And it allows you to budget more wisely and make plans for the future. And who doesn't want to do that? So if you're planning to make a move this year, locking in your monthly housing costs for the duration of your loan can be a huge benefit. You'll avoid wondering, oh my gosh, is the landlord going to raise my rent? That whole thing, that not knowingness, and it throws your budget if you are good at budgeting, because I recommend that everyone do that. You need to adjust your budget because of these increases on your rent, which are so random sometimes. You just don't even see them coming out of the blue because these annual increases would have left your housing payment up to your landlord and their renewal cycle. So Homeowners, hey, homeowners also enjoy the added benefit of home equity. Of course, I've shared that on so many videos because you're establishing wealth. Home equity has grown substantially and will continue to grow in the future. In fact, the latest Homeowner Equity Insight Report from CoreLogic shows the average homeowner gained $34,000 plus in equity over the last 12 months. You can't get a return like that in the stock market. The stock market is going right now. And so all I can tell you is that real estate is the best investment on the planet. I've shared that over and over and over. And as a renter, your rent payment only covers the cost of your dwelling. So when you pay a mortgage on a house, you grow this wealth through the forced savings. I always say it's like having a piggy bank slot on your ceiling, that every time you make a payment, you're saving, you're building home equity. It is an absolute phenomenon that even the millennials now have figured it out. I'm telling you, get on the bandwagon. If you're a renter, think about becoming a homeowner and setting an intention and a goal and a plan for this year. And if you're thinking of renting this year, it's important to keep in mind the true costs that you will face. So connect with, a real estate agent advisor like me to see how you can begin this journey to home ownership, because I love mentoring people. I love taking you from a place where you think you can't be a homeowner and actually 6 months, 12 months, maybe 2 years later, or even sooner, you're actually looking at houses and we're handing you the keys. It's phenomenal. There is nothing like owning your own home. I love sharing this with you today. There's 2 more videos coming up. If you want to schedule a Zoom call with me to go over some of these things, in the first comments below, there's a link. Schedule it and stay tuned for these videos. As I always say, y'all come back now. You hear?